All right, hey, it's good to see some folks stuck around for the data track. Let's go. All right, yeah, we're gonna get to be nerdy for about 30 minutes here. For those of you who maybe aren't data people, but you're interested, thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking in there with us. We hope you have something in there, something in this presentation for you too. We're excited to talk to you about the future of the way we engage with reporting, with data, and present analytics and make decisions. My name is Timothy Davis. I'm an engagement analyst with 451 on our engagement analytics team. And I work with my friend here, Mr. Jamie Boggs.
I'm Jamie Boggs. You may remember me from instances such as the hot mic episode yesterday when I yelled into the microphone. That was a good time. Work with the engagement analytics team as well.
Hot mic. Oh man. All right. Well, yeah. So we're going to talk today about the way that AI is disrupting and improving the way that we interact and interrogate our data is how we're framing it. Sure. So let me set the stage a little bit as we get into here. For the last, 10 years or so, we've been dashboarding. We've been presenting visuals and condensing our big data sets into things that can be consumed by our stakeholders. Maybe you started out with an Excel spreadsheet on a shared drive, or maybe now you've got a dashboard on the web that's powered by an automated data warehouse. Whatever it is, it's been revolutionizing the way that we make decisions and have been vitally important. Before joining Element, I was on the university side, and I worked in website analytics and digital marketing. And when we started dashboarding and bringing those to meetings, throwing those up on the screen and seeing the way that our campaigns were performing, seeing the way that our application was performing, seeing how those campaigns and those digital ads were feeding that application was imperative. But if you've ever been in a meeting with a dashboard, and certainly if you've ever built a dashboard, you know about that maybe about 5-minute aside at the end of each meeting where somebody goes, what if we could change that pie chart? Or hey, I noticed that this visual wasn't in here, and maybe we could tweak that a little bit. So it's always iterative, always something new, something to work on. And sometimes can even balloon to be 35 visuals a document, something you gotta swim through to figure out. And so today we're talking about the way that AI is transforming that and democratizing our data even further and empowering not just folks who work with data, but folks who access and need to query that data without code, without any other assistance.
I'm going to walk around too. Yeah, so natural language processing is a branch of computer science, more specifically AI, that really trains computers on how to interpret language the way that we speak it. You mentioned no code, no syntax, no regex, just interpreting the way that we talk to each other and not only matching keywords like Bing or Google, it's not like a Google search, but it's actually capturing the meaning and the intent behind what we're saying. Natural language queries take that a step further, and they will use the natural language processors to connect to a data source to allow you to ask questions, again, in everyday language and words, the way that we talk to each other, and get answers from the data. This isn't just recalling something that's been before. The query will actually take your language, interpret what you want, and run calculations on the data in that data set to give you the information that you need instantly. It's going to be accurate, and all you have to do is ask a question. How many times does a colleague come in and say, how many registrations did we have for that event a year ago? Or what's the GPA of people in this major? All you have to do is ask the question. You don't have to pull out 15 spreadsheets and compare and contrast data from years past. The impact on higher ed for natural language queries can be huge. There are so many benefits to this. It allows everybody to be data literate. You don't have to know how to write SQL or Python or anything like that. You just have to know, you know what you're looking for in the data. You know what the question is and what you're trying to get at. And this enables everybody to be able to do that. Or for those of us, I worked in higher ed for 15 years before coming over to this side. I was just kind of always the data guy in my office. So if people came to me with these questions, I would pull all the data together. But now I wouldn't have to do that. I could just say, okay, I got your question, and give them an answer in 2 minutes and look like an absolute genius. This is so helpful. And it also enables you to dig into the data in such a way that you can cut it and slice it so many different ways that you're going to start to find answers to questions you didn't know to ask beforehand. So you can be creative, you can be innovative in the way that you're looking at this. Here are some examples of questions, and you know what you're asking about. You're asking about enrollment, you're asking questions about the funnel. You can ask marketing questions, like which marketing campaigns are yielding the most conversions. You can ask whatever is in the data is free game. So what's the important piece there is how can I access the data? How can I make sure that everything is set up so that I can be successful using this emerging technology? So there are two sides to it. And one side is the various platforms that provide the query processing. You can look at Power BI, Tableau, Kinetica. There are a lot of just kind of BI softwares out there that have this functionality now. But then you have to have a data source that is accurate data stored in the same place with all of the dimensions and metrics that you want to have. Even Microsoft Excel has this functionality. Let's see how much I can zoom. But I'll just look at this really quickly. I know we're a little bit behind on time. If you just click on this Analyze Data option up here at the top right, and this data set is something I just put together for this presentation. It's basically campaign data, emails sent, delivered, SMS sent, and delivered. So if I just want to come in and I want to ask a simple question like, which users sent the most emails? Then very quickly, I get a total of the user that sent the most emails with the number of emails that they sent. It tells me that it summed the emails sent. It tells me the user's name, and then I could insert that and create a visualization. It also gives me other options, like did you mean to say average emails sent? So not only is this natural language query giving me answers, but it's giving me suggestions for ways to improve it. Or I could ask something like list the top campaigns for emails delivered. And it's given me the max of the emails, which is not what I want. I didn't want the max, I wanted the sum. So I can just go back up here and say, well, in my natural language, how could I rephrase this? So if I just add the word total, it understands that, and it adds, it goes to sum. So if you get this data, and let's say I want to list the top 5 campaigns, you can insert a pivot table, and then you can use Excel's functionality to build whatever visualization you want to see, whatever kind of chart or table or what have you. So if you're using any type of natural language query, you just have to have the platform that provides that and the data source that is accurate and usable. And thankfully, both of those are being built into the Element product.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, using Excel is still so much a part of our everyday work. And it's exciting that Microsoft, who owns a big share of OpenAI, the creator of GPT-4, is integrating that conversational interface into more Microsoft products. And so we'll see even Excel and other products like that begin to develop a lot more. We're seeing a lot of products, as you said, including in Element 451. We alluded to it a little bit earlier today in the product session, but we're working on a project that we call Insights Q. It is built right into Element 451. It's easy to access as the Insights dashboards you're used to using. It is trained on the way we speak as enrollment professionals, admissions professionals, marketing professionals, all the terms that we're used to throwing around that are specific to higher ed. And you can query your data immediately. You don't have to move it anywhere. You don't have to set anything up, export anything like for Excel. It's right within the platform. And it's trained on all the topics, if you could switch to the next slide there, all the topics that you're used to seeing in Insights, campaigns, conversations, of course, the funnel there, our new management dashboard, and subsequent dashboards that we'll release later this year. So we didn't get to see it this morning. Do you guys want to check it out? Let's see it. Switcheroo. All right, so I'm going to open up in Element here, this toggle that will bring up the conversation bar. We'll let it load up for a second. Maybe I ought to refresh. I hadn't refreshed today. Wi-Fi 2, yeah. Yeah, more suspense. All right, let's toggle it on. Insights queue. And what we first see, we're greeted by a list of topics that we can start to ask questions against. I'm going to go into funnel, and when I do that, I'm greeted with a little bit of an explanation of what this topic entails and some questions that I can ask. I can see here the way that the visual will come out and the way that I'll be able to interact with this data. And I can also see our data fields, all the different dimensions and metrics that I can ask about. So let's have a look at some example queries. I just want to see how many students applied over the last 4 years. And that's going to take a second and spit out a number for me. And we can see what it did here. It's going to highlight, oh, students applied, you're talking about app submits. I'm going to use that number. And, well, what date do you want me to use? Because we have a date for the suspect date, the application submit date, the admit date. Let's select the app submit date. And that's going to thankfully keep our number pretty consistent there, meaning that we've got a short time frame. But we can see that it's summing up application submits, showing the last 4 years. All right, let's break this down a little bit. Let's go by month and see what our line chart looks like. We can see kind of the phase of our applications as they come in. And some of the things that we can do here is if I go over here to the side, I can see these visual types. And I have other ways that I can present this data. I think the line chart's probably the best application here, but I'm going to see what the bar chart looks like just out of curiosity. And we can see the same sort of trend pattern, but I guess in this case we have this nice little data count at the top of each bar. I'm going to go back to that line chart because there's another really cool feature that we can access right here in the platform, this little Insights button. If I click this open, I've got some quick counts here, like our highest month was September 22. Great, that's what we want to see. But I can also here with the line chart specifically, I can turn on this forecast and I can see a number of periods, a number of months in this case, into the future. I'll set it to 18 for fun. And we have a forecast with an expected and a lower and upper bound of what we can expect to see over the next set of periods. All right, let's break this down a different way. Let's look at the last 4 years by application. So we can see that our domestic app is bringing in the majority of our, of our app submits. So then let's combine these two and let's say, okay, application by month. And that's going to start with a table. Table's not super helpful. Let me hop over here, and I want to see this as a stacked area line chart. So I'll pull that up really quick, and now we can see how the different apps interact over time. And we can see that this President's app is kind of bringing up the middle here between our domestic and international app peak times. Really interesting to see that. We can also play with some other metrics. Let's look at admits by student type. We can see that broken down. I also want to see one more thing before I hand it over to Jamie. I want to see fall 2018 and 19 by citizenship by term. I've condensed that query pretty significantly. Not a lot of natural language in there, but it accomplishes what I want. I want us to look at across these two terms, and I want to see citizenship status, and I want to see the breakdown by term. And we can see that there's been a lot of growth in our citizenship year over year and some shrinking in our non-citizenship term over term for that time period. So some interesting ways that we can play with our funnel data. All right, Jamie, let's see what you got.
Yeah, I want to highlight a little bit more about the visualizations that you can get out of this. So I'm going to go into our events topic, and I'm going to say, please list. I say please. I like to be polite when I talk to AI in case it ever turns on us. I want it to remember that I'm a nice guy. So please list registrations by event type by month. This could very well be a question that you have that you would like to see that data for. As Timothy mentioned, a lot of times it's going to come at us with a table. So you can scroll through the table, and you can see everything by month and look at what's happening over the course of time. With that same question, we could look at it as a stacked bar graph. So each month has its own bar, and within that bar are the different event types. You can go with a basic line chart, and you could do some forecasting here, as Timothy did earlier. And just like a lot of the charts on our dashboards, you can kind of zoom in here and just see, let's just look at the last 2 years of what's happened and get a more in-depth look at what is happening with each of your event types. You can even get kind of crazy if you want and look at one of these tree graphs, which I always think look amazing, but never found them really useful. Waterfall charts, which shows the rates of change between the points on the bar graph. Or you can just grab a pivot chart that's going to show you the months, and those are going to be collapsible. So I can see the total for June 2020, or I can expand it to see all the different event types. There are all kinds of different ways to look at the same question because everybody has their own preferences, and that's what we hear sometimes from our partners is, I love this dashboard, I wish this bar graph was a pie chart. It's like, okay, if you ask the question, you can make it a pie chart. If you prefer that, maybe you're not a pie person, maybe you like donuts. We can look at it as a donut chart. So the same question, and we've visualized it about 8 different ways within Insights Q. And I mentioned how important it is earlier when you're using natural language queries to have a strong data source. So obviously within Element 451, the data that we have here is extensive. It's backed up, it's accurate, and there's just so much in there for every facet that we're looking for. Some other pieces over here, you can go into the topic details. We're going to have a frequently asked questions, which will probably have 5 to 7 questions once we build those out. The attributes that Timothy mentioned. You can export this to CSV file or an Excel file, depending on the type of data that you have. The insights pieces there.
Let's also cover feedback down there. That
Yeah.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. This gets a thumbs up for me. I'm a donut guy. So we, on our end, can see every question that's asked through this queue. We can see the results that people got, whether you found it useful or not, so that the AI piece and the human intelligence piece can continue to improve these queries and continue to improve the natural language processing. So that's a way to give us that feedback, and we will regularly be checking those reports to ensure that the questions that are being asked are being answered in the way that you want to see them. As far as the rest of the AI piece, you see that some of these visualizations are blocked out, and that's simply because it doesn't have the right combination of metrics and dimensions. So it automatically knows with the data that we have based on this question, these are the different ways to look at it. Autograph is what usually shows up first. It'll show you what it interprets to be the most useful visualization. But again, a lot of this is so much personal preference that it comes back to you. So once you're finished, you can just close it up. You can choose another topic. If you go to one of our Insights dashboards and then toggle the Insights Q bar, then it's going to automatically be on that particular topic. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. There we go.
All right. Well, we have a few more minutes for questions. We did have a condensed session here today, but we want to open it up to y'all and chat a little bit. What do you think? All right. Thank you. We're excited to bring this into Element, hoping to bring it in within the next year.
Yeah, do we have questions about Insights Q, about natural language queries? Yes, please.
Let's get you a mic real quick so everyone online
So
can hear.
folks at home can hear.
Folks at home.
Thank you. Great demonstration. Once you create those queries and you find kind of that secret sauce, that magic report, can you then save it into the management queue so that not if everyone has access, they still can see that data whenever they want to go in and look at it?
At this point, the way to do that is to export that visual, and you'll spit out a CSV, so you could say that we are looking into ways that we could potentially save those queries right into Element, and so you could pull them up as you want.
And it does save your previously asked questions. So if you find the right way to format the question, that will be in the drop down when you click in the bar. In that particular topic. The drop downs for each topic will be different and will change depending on what you're looking for in each topic. Yeah, if we could get somebody way over there with the next question, that'd be.
Okay, so a lot of the examples I've seen, understandably, since this is such a huge thing, have been like enrollment and like enrollment stages, events, registrations, applications, things like that.
Sure.
How much can you do with external communications through this, like tracking open rates, email clicks, being able to single out time frames, things like that?
I think, Jamie, you can pull that up while I start talking about it. So again, this is topic related. We showed funnel and we showed events. So if you're familiar with the Insights dashboards, they're organized similarly. But we can hop right over into the campaigns topic, which is going to have all of those metrics and dimensions that you're looking for. So if you're sending out your campaigns via Element and you're tracking all of that within Element, all of that's available in the campaigns topic. Same with conversations. We've got events and sources in there. Management, web activities. Am I missing one? I think that's it.
Yeah. Right now, they're all built off of the Insights dashboard. So any metric that you find in there, and we do have all the open rates, everything to do with texts and emails that are sent. We have conversations that's going to be available. Some of that's already in the management dashboard, but anything that you find in Insights will be available in Insights Queue.
Okay, I think we have time for one more. Somebody preferably on the far ends.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, Renee.
Renee's doing a great job.
All right. Oh, okay,
There
one
we
more.
go.
One more. All right.
So I had a question about how, let's say we have a state in your sample. I just didn't see how it would show up. If we wanted to say, like, SMS clicked is one of the items on your screen there, and I wanted to filter only SMS clicked equals yes, how would I do that in the query?
The dimension is, the metric itself is actually a 0 or a 1.
Yeah.
And so if you want to count those up, you're counting ones and zeros. And so that's going to give you your yes or no effectively. But if you wanted to do, campaigns by, month, right, summing those up, that's effectively how it's going to work. Does that answer your question? You don't necessarily need to filter by, as if you're aggregating that metric. Zeros are just going to cancel.
You could
that being
insert
ignored.
a specific campaign if that's what you're looking for. How many clicked yes on a text message for this campaign? That could be added to the queue bar.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the Data Nerd Track.
Yes.
We'll see you in the next
nerds.
one.
Thank you.